Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra versus 14 Pro Max speed test after 6 months. Let's go ahead and begin with a boot up in 3, 2, go. Now, I did a months later concise review about 8 days ago where we did more of a comparison video talking about how the experience has been. I'll link that down below. But the Samsung just got a 5.1.1 update. The iPhone got iOS 16.6, and I want to see and just kind of keep it fresh in our minds where the performance is between the two beasts. The iPhone boots up faster right now before the upcoming iPhone, 15 Pro Max, Ultra, whatever it's going to be officially called, so we can get an idea where they're standing right now. Okay, so the iPhone 14 Pro Max was actually faster to turn on, and I could tell you since the initial launch of the 14 Pro Max with the subsequent updates, it definitely has gotten better to use. It's much more reliable. I haven't had any really crashes anymore, and the Samsung came out performing even better than the iPhone when it first launched. And I gotta tell you, up until this day right now, I was testing this out really hardcore yesterday. This thing is an absolute monster in performance. Even now with the updated software, no lag whatsoever. This thing flies through everything you can do. Taking a look at the 14 Pro Max, really the only thing I think about the 14 Pro Max is it doesn't really take a great advantage of its performance capabilities with not having no true multitasking features, but Face ID, pretty convenient, but you've seen that unlocking the Samsung was a little bit faster. So running through their initial home screens and software, you're going to see iPhone pretty smooth, Samsung I think even smoother in just basically general scrolling through the operating system, because within the app drawer it's smoother than here. There's a little bit of a slowness here in the app library, but still pretty darn good. Now I do like how fast Control Center is, but I also like how fast it is to open a quick panel up here. I think you can bring this down from anywhere on the screen. Yeah, you can do that just like that, whereas with the iPhone it'll bring up search. On the Samsung you got search right up there. Okay, so we've arrived at the app portion of this video. You can see everything is closed out for both phones. Let's go into calendar, and you can see faster on the iPhone, calculator, faster on the Samsung, clock, faster on the Samsung with the animation. We're going to go into alarm, and we're going to go into stopwatch, timers, and you can see basically these phones operate essentially identical. Let's go into weather. That one was the iPhone for sure. You can see it's still loading right there on the Samsung. The Samsung does load up all these videos and stories and stuff, so that's probably what slows it down a little bit. Let's go into Groupon. You'll see faster on the iPhone there. Categories, faster on the Samsung. Things to do, faster on the Samsung once again. Let's go into Fun and Leisure. And this is going to be faster on the left. So when an application, the Samsung just flying through. And you can see right there. Now you see that scroll still blazing fast on a Samsung, smoother on the iPhone. Now personally I prefer the iPhone scroll there simply because that scroll is more, something I'm going to see. I can't really see what's happening when it's flying that fast on the left. But the App Store looked to have opened slower than the Play Store. Things are opening just a little slower on the App Store. You could see the Samsung quicker here within Google Play. Let's go into Amazon. And one thing I did notice is that the iPhone has been getting better at not crashing no apps over these updates we've been getting. So no apps really crash anymore. I had a few apps crash during my time in the beginning stages of using the iPhone 14 Pro Max. And so Dead Trigger did load up first there on the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Let's hit play. And you'll see faster there on the 14 Pro Max. So the gaming, while I don't think it's a big deal that it loads a little faster, I do think the Samsung has better sustained performance. Some applications still load quicker to launch the games on the iPhone. Let's go into Asphalt 9. Let's see if Samsung can shut me up here. Usually it does, and you'll see Samsung faster there, shutting me up right away. And I do prefer gaming on the Samsung as well, mostly because I don't like this in my games. You know, it's just, that's not something I enjoy. So just overall media consumption, content consumption, gaming, I do enjoy more over the months later on the Samsung. You could even go into this landscape mode, which makes it more like a tablet. So that's pretty cool as well. So let's go ahead and hit up the Subway Surfers. See what's rocking out here. Faster to load there for the iPhone by a sliver. But see, here's the thing. If the iPhone 14 Pro Max is right there with the Samsung S23 Ultra, which is a newer phone, I do think that the next iPhone is going to leapfrog the S23 Ultra. I don't think it's going to be better in every way, but I do think it's going to leapfrog it in performance. So I am super excited to see what happens in this upcoming. Just stay tuned, be subscribed, because once we get that 15 Pro Max or Ultra, whatever it is, these are the first boys going head to head. You already know. We got to put the kings up against each other. So be subscribed for that. It's going to be interesting to see who wins it out there. Here in Temple Run, about the same. Let's go into Call of Duty. And I know some people say, look, man, why are you opening those games that the cheapest smartphones can open? It's because I play some of these cheap games when I'm trying to pass the time. That's why I got the Call of Duty for those of you who want to open something a little bit more heavy on the day-to-day. And you can see Call of Duty looks like it is going to load up first here for maybe the Samsung. So, no, it was the Apple device. So Samsung had to ask for the account. So the Apple device went right in. So Apple a little quicker. Once in game, once again, this is going to come down to which one can sustain the performance better. But again, you know, I do like the squared feel here. It just gives it kind of a grip to hold on to. Kind of reminds you of a little gaming system. Now the iPhone, also pretty good if you're doing some gaming like this. It's got some solid grip too. But it doesn't sustain its performance as long, and the screen can dim over heavier use for a longer period. Let's go into Geekbench 6. You'll see Geekbench 6 faster there on the right. And then we'll hit up 3D Mark here. 3D Mark faster on the right. Camera. That was the iPhone. So essentially, you know, you have basically two phones that are neck and neck in performance. I think the iPhone actually has gotten better since its previous updates. It's performing a little nicer now than my earlier speed test with these two, where the Samsung was just winning in everything. So Apple's iPhone actually got better over these past updates. But seeing that they're so close and the iPhone still opens some things faster, with the Samsung seeming a little snappier with the animations, it's really going to be nice to see. Does the 3nm A17 leapfrog this Galaxy S23 Ultra with its Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 CPU? So let's go ahead and take a look at their RAM management or app switching, going back through the applications. We'll see how they open here. 3D Mark, Geekbench 6, Call of Duty. Both of them had it there. Temple Run 2, both of them had it there. Remember, these are the two beasts of the market. Samsung a little faster to launch that open. Both of them doing the same thing in Asphalt 9. But the iPhone doing it a little faster. Dead Trigger 2. Samsung had that quicker. Starbucks about the same. Amazon faster on the has twice the RAM, but S23 Ultra beats it there. And about the same there. I think it's insane how you only have 6 gigs of RAM and you get essentially the same type of reloading on the iPhone. That shows its level of efficiency. It's super good, even though it doesn't have 12 gigs of RAM. So it's almost as if the Samsung needs that to perform like that. But definitely the Samsung launched a few faster. It's basically the same as the speed test and the initial app test. There was a couple that were faster on the iPhone here, and a couple that were faster on the Samsung. So it's literally dead even between these two. Alright, so I got the Ford GT. Let's put that right there. It's a little toy car. Ford GT. Let's go ahead and put the toy car there, and we'll go ahead and use that for the camera launch speed. I like to check out how fast they can launch the cameras. 3, 2, go. Hold on, I accidentally, you know what, I think I opened the cameras earlier, so let's close them out. We closed them out. Alright, let's do it again. 3, 2, go. Faster on the iPhone. Let me close them out again. Don't be listening to me, Google. Not right now. Let's go ahead and go to camera. 3, 2, go. Yeah, the iPhone a little faster. What about actually taking a photo? The shutter about even. What about switching between lenses? I think the iPhone looks smoother switching between lenses. Let's hit that 10x. The Samsung destroying the iPhone when it comes to zooming. but it's not as smooth when switching the lenses. So Samsung, if you want to improve something, there you go. You can make your lenses, the transition between different lenses, just look a little bit more buttery smooth. Alright, so the final scores are in for the iPhone, winning first, as always, in Geekbench 6, 2537 on the single core, 6522 on the multi-core, and then you can see the Samsung behind here on both scores. However, you know, the 3D Mark has shown us before that we get better scores for the Samsung within that test. So we're going to go ahead and run a 3D Mark Wildlife Extreme test. I'll be back to see if the gaming performance on these latest versions is still winning on the Samsung. I'll be back when they're done. Okay, and the Samsung winning with a higher score and faster frame rate. So even with the latest updates, the Samsung's still the better gaming performer. It's going to have better frame rates, and it can sustain its performance longer. I'm telling you, when you use the iPhone for extended periods on gaming, the screen dims, and I'm not talking like 20 minutes, I'm talking like a long period of time gaming. Samsung can hold it a little bit better. Both these phones are quite warm. But the Samsung's still quicker in the 3D Mark tests, where the Apple wins it out in the CPU test on Geekbench 6. So we're going to wrap it up here. What is the overall statement I have to make on this after 6 months? 16.6, the latest One UI version over here. And it's this. It's that the Samsung phone is still a little bit more powerful when it comes to the gaming. Performance sustains it better. It has these multitasking abilities that you just cannot match up to on the iPhone experience. So Apple doesn't really take a great advantage of its power. And I think it's smoother in terms of the app drawer versus the app library. It has faster face unlock right here. It's just a super powerful Samsung device. And the iPhone is still, I think, a little bit smoother. I think Apple needs to, or not Apple, Samsung can work on making their phones, maybe even give us a little feature in the settings where we can have like a buttery smooth animation. I know you can go developer options 1.5x. Now, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Samsung implementing smoother animations all around the board while retaining its very fast performance. So that's my final take on them. I think the iPhone 15 Pro Max and Ultra are going to take down this phone. We'll have to see next month. So I'll see you then. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you on the next video. Nick.